Ooh, these slimy poos. Do you ever get those sentences you suddenly think, probably should have thought a little more before I said the words, ooh, these slimy poos. But I should have thought a little bit more before I said the phrase, ooh, these shiny poos. Slimy poos, even. Shiny poos? I mean, if they're shining and slimy, then you've probably got fucking trouble, son. Right. Let's try and take down Mega Man Fly. Mega Fly. He's fucking ugly as shit. Mega Fly. He's really fucking ugly as shit. Fly Mega. If you've got some flying, you can do some buying. Hiya! Golden Axe of Thunder. Oh yeah, there you are. I was going to say, where the fuck have you gone? And I knew his teleportation tactic before he did it last time. This time I'm going, where's he gone? Where's he gone? I don't know what's happened. Why has he disappeared? He's fucking teleporting, you donut plum. Yes, you plum donut. Hell yeah. I bet that's quite nice, actually. Plum donut. Good. Oh, damn. It's that breakout. That breakout charging USP on that breakout. Oh, I caught him. Yaha! For the thunder. Oh, fuck. Just remembered that game should be on the list. For those of you interested, the phrase, if I ever say the phrase for the thunder, or for the sun, or for the storm, or anything like that, not enough fucking cash. Son of a... You can clearly see I have enough cash. If you ever hear me say for the in that sort of tone, it is referencing the game Netstorm, because I loved Netstorm, and Netstorm seriously should have been on one of these lists. Ah, these lists are hard, man. See, constructing this list kind of makes me realise how much I don't want this to happen, because even now I desire changing them, because suddenly I've thought of Netstorm. When I was reading through the notes and when I was writing those notes, I hadn't thought of Netstorm, and Netstorm's brilliant. It's a very good RTS. RTS, yeah, it would be considered an RTS, I think. But you don't really build troops, you build sort of building units. Okay. Look up Netstorm and figure it out. Anyway, so I don't fancy any more Devil's Dare, is the God's honest truth. I'll hold my hands up. I'm Devil's Dared out at this point. Don't know precisely how long I've been doing it, but I am kind of finished with Devil's Dare beyond compare. Especially now it's kind of broken on me by not allowing me to revive ever again. Son of a bitch. Hopefully once it resets, then I might get away with actually reviving again, but apparently you only have a certain amount of runs at it before it suddenly turns around and goes, you no have more revives, you no have the cash. I can only assume maybe there's some kind of programming glitch where maybe the cache has stopped resetting, maybe? I don't know. Or the cash cost to revive has stopped resetting, I have no idea. But anyway, peculiar and peculiar. So Netstorm, yeah, look it up if you're interested. Look up Netstorm. It's a very good game. Again, this was sort of way back when. It's interesting. I said earlier on that my first console was Mega Drive, and that is technically true because the Mega Drive was a console. But I can never quite remember which came first. My experience of a few games on PC, or my experience with the Mega Drive. I've got a feeling it might have been the PC game, so Netstorm might be one of the first games I ever played. Much like Crusader, if you remember the Crusader LP, I think that was one of the first as well, because that was PC. Back in, like, you know, where you were fucking writing the command line style stuff. But anyway, that's not hugely important. Netstorm's a good game. Should really have been on the list, but nah. I'll stick to the list as it is currently. Anyway, we got to number 9 at Fire Emblem. I'm just going to discuss them quickly. I'm sorry for the lack of gameplay, but as I say, I'm fucking Devil's Dared out as fuck, man. Fire Emblem. every Fire Emblem game I've played, I've enjoyed. The only one I think was a little less so than the others, but still quite high up, was I think Shadow Dragon on the DS. Yeah, it was on the DS. For some reason I never got into that one. But I've done that with several games over many years. There's a game on PlayStation 3, one of the ones where it was like, oh my god, they've actually released a proper RPG on the PlayStation 3, I must have it, called Enchanted Arms. And the first time I played it, it just didn't grip me. Didn't grip me at all. And I drifted away from it very swiftly. And then suddenly, I went back to it, I don't know, a period of time later, and fucking loved the game entirely. So it's amazing how, to a certain extent, moods and activities around can sway my, and possibly yours, my way of enjoying things, I think. So when I first played Shadow Dragon, I believe it's Shadow Dragon on the DS Fire Emblem. It's not a DS Fire Emblem, it's Fire Emblem on the DS. I just couldn't seem to get into it. But that may change next time I play it, because I've still got it and I'll still probably play it again. And so the old GBA Fire Emblems were fantastic games. I rather enjoyed the GameCube, yeah. Or was it? Yes. Yeah, I think the first one was GameCube, the second one was Wii. But the sort of fully 3D style ones they did on, like, I don't know. I tend to call the consoles you do on the TV, I tend to call them the big consoles, and the handhelds little consoles, I suppose. But I don't know. I do tend to refer to the main ones. I say main ones. It's not main as such. The way I do things, I think of them as main consoles and the big consoles on the big TV, etc., etc. And I really enjoyed those ones. But I did say possibly the 3DS one, Awakening. And as I mentioned, I haven't got a good reason. There is no good reason for me saying Awakening. It's basically, I've been playing Awakening, it was actually quite some time ago when I first wrote these notes. I played Awakening and loved it. It was fantastic. That one gripped me from the very beginning. And as I say, there was a lot of sort of... a lot of it you can kind of assume based on what might and might not happen, but there was some side quests I never got round to doing, so I should go back to it and play it again. There was sort of like, you chose the gender at the beginning. Does that have any effect on anything else? What shifts and changes does it have? And I think there was possibly some other questions I had. I can't remember now. It's been a period of time, an undisclosed period of time, but not as much as the period of time we mentioned earlier. There were some questions I had where it was like, I could do things differently and see what happens. It's always nice when games do that. It's like when I said about Mass Effect 1, 2 and 3 earlier, that could keep me in games for the rest of my life, I'm sure, quite easily, if I had all three, because, without making any spoilers, the obvious ones, do you choose male or female shepherd? Do you choose... because I think, I don't know, I suppose I, for the most part, have chosen it as a defined choice. But technically you can make your decisions between things as to whether you want to do Renegade or Paragon. But, so, the obvious ones, male or female shepherd, Paragon or Renegade. Which class do I want to be? These sort of don't necessarily affect the storyline that much, I don't think. Well, Paragon and Renegade does affect certain elements quite substantially. The reason why I'm struggling to define it is because it's huge, humongous. There's tons of options in Mass Effect, and therefore it would be quite good. But as I say, I'm happy to stick with Darksiders 2 as my number 5, simply because, as I say, my thought track here, as much as I pushed the boundaries with Kingdom Hearts 2 HD Remix, was one game per number. And Kingdom Hearts was based on one game, one disc per number. Anyway, so Fire Emblem Awakening was fantastic. Brilliant game. And then number 10 was Smite. And again, like I was discussing with Monster Hunter, not necessarily a top 10 favourite game, very good game, but not necessarily a top 10 favourite game. But the fact that you can replay it and you do get slightly different results, and it's got a pretty robust character pool. I mean, if you get bogged down for a month playing the same character, next month you can go, well, I'll play a different character. And that alone is going to take you 60 months, I think, because are they up to 60? I want to say 60, but I might be wrong. Might be less than that, but it's in the 40 to 60 range, I think. I feel confident in that range. I know that's a range of 20, therefore I'm not narrowing it down much. I feel confident it's somewhere in a number. But nevertheless, you've got a lot of characters, you've got a lot of variety, and again, like with Monster Hunter, because you've got different people on your team, some are absolutely shit, some are me, and that's even worse. But yeah, so sometimes you get a team that's really good, sometimes you get put against a team that's really shitty and you just get an easy win, and that's happy in its own way, but sometimes you get a team where they're just too ridiculously good, and that's just frustratingly irritating, and then other times you hit that, I suppose it is considered the Goldilocks, isn't it? If the enemy team are too shit, you get an easy win. If the enemy team are too good, you get a fucking piss poor loss. But if you get that Goldilocks, where the enemy team are your equal, then you get a fucking good match. And it's always bad to lose, but it's slightly more tolerable if it's a hard-fought loss, I suppose. But you get that extra sense of accomplishment if you do the hard-fought win. So there you have it. Numbers 1 through 10, with a few addendums having fucked up the fucking list. I tell you what, just for quick conclusionary stakes? You can have conclusionary stakes. Depends on how hungry you are. We'll repeat the question and repeat the noted answer. In fact, we'll just go through the list of games without any reasoning this time, because obviously we've been discussing why throughout the entire fucking video, which is probably a very long video, which, I mean, give yourself a quick wank. No, that's clapping. I can never one of these days I'll remember to absolutely check for certain whether sounds anything like wanking. And how are you going to be checking that? That is for me to know and you to wonder. But it's more a case of, because it's like, that's got the skin on skin slapping. Wasn't you supposed to be concluding this video? Yes, I was. And I apologise, it's been an excessive volume of non-gameplay here, but still. That's why it's even more a sort of round of applause. Proper hardcore round of applause if you are actually sticking this out, because it's terribly boring, I imagine. So, in conclusion, the game was Devil's Dare. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw. It's a pretty fucking difficult game. Especially, I think, in the idea of completing the game is perhaps beyond me. But I'm sure someone out there can perhaps... I'm sure if you looked it up, you could probably find someone completing it. But it's fun. It's a fun little game. It's a nice little sort of 2D side-scrolly beat-em-up with the extra function, with the extra sort of features and ideas of having this sort of expanding zones, which gives you a lot of gameplay options and sort of earning the rewards to keep you going and stuff. It's just a shame it sort of broke. It didn't do a good job of endearing itself by breaking part way with the whole you're not allowed to revive anymore. So that was Devil's Dare. The question, if you were... Starting again with my new teeth in, the question, if you were to be restricted to only 10 games, and all the necessary accommodations to play them, including Nintendo when necessary, for the rest of your life, what 10 games would you choose, and briefly why? Number 1, Skies of Arcadia. Number 2, Shadow Hearts 2. Number 3, Kingdom Hearts 2 HD Remix. Number 4, Onimusha 3. Number 5, Darksiders 2. Number 6, Suikoden 4. Number 7, Monster Hunter, probably 4. Golden Sun at number 8. Number 9 was Fire Emblem, and number 10 is Smite. However, as you have seen, there are so many other games. Batman, NetStorm, Mass Effect, Grandia. I didn't put Grandia on the fucking list, did I? Shitting hell. Saints Row. Fucking Saints Row 2, man. I'm still thinking of other games that can be included. If I looked at my shelves and I looked at my cupboards, then I could probably find a lot more. It's getting that sort of off the top of your memory without looking at some of these things that tends to be troublesome for me. Let's have a look. Here we go. I've got a few games in front of me. Streets of LA. I don't know if I'd necessarily include that, but nevertheless, very good, very enjoyable game. I enjoyed Streets of LA. What else we got here? StarCraft 2 probably comes under the sort of Monster Hunter Smite remit, with the whole sort of good replayability and online stuff, which could keep you going for the rest of your life and stuff. Prince of Persia there. I can say Prince of Persia: The Sands of Time. Forgotten Realms, Demon Stone. This is literally me looking at a shelf of games, not... If I fired up Steam, we could be here literally all day, and I promise we're about to conclude. Well, conclude. I was going to say conclude finally. I mean, it is finally conclude because it's been going a while. So, Devil's Dare for you, Sleeves of War. You've been waiting so long, so trying to nudge that vote up to get Devil's Dare elsewhere, but you finally have some Devil's Dare. You have dared to be a devil in a daredevil-y way, and you've managed to see some Devil's Dare gameplay. Hopefully you enjoyed what you saw of Devil's Dare. Hopefully you found interest in the answer. You know, I answered the question to the best of my ability, and went into several discussions of several randomnesses. Hopefully it made sense, which is probably not true, but fuck it, we can hope for the best, even though we're preparing for the worst. I will see you in the next question. Anybody who's watching this and every other question there. But for this question, I shall say, cheerio.